Welcome to Wrestle-Gay-nia, your favorite queer wrestling recap show for Jet Space Magazine. I'm El Sanchez.
And I'm Val Nigro.
I love wrestling.
And I tolerate it because I'm just nice like that.
Inaccurate. This episode, we watched Season 1, Episode 1 of Lucha Underground, which I was very excited to see because I've actually never watched it, weirdly enough.
That's very strange.
It's strange. It is strange because I'm Mexican and I love wrestling. I don't know why I haven't watched Lucha Underground.
That's kind of offensive that you.
I don't know.
You haven't.
I love Lucha Libre. It's Mexican. So let's talk about a couple things before we get into Lucha Underground. One, Lucha Libre is Mexican style wrestling, but basically Lucha Libre translates in English to be free fighting kind of. So it's just wrestling, but and wrestlers are called luchadors. But not all Mexican wrestlers that are luchadors are masked wrestlers. I think most people associate luchadors with enmascados, which are the masked wrestlers, or enmascadas, because there's also female
or with
wrestlers.
The appropriative American film Nacho Libre, starring Jack Black. Just had to say it.
Oh, God. Right. Okay. Yeah, it's the only correct thing in Nacho Libre that exists is that a lot of Mexicans are Catholic and a lot of Mexicans love elotes, which is the corn on the cob.
They nailed that part.
Yeah, they nailed that part. I would fucking knife a person that threw my elote on the street. So that's true if you've seen that movie. The one thing that kind of sets apart this style of wrestling from, let's say, WWE, which is what we generally watch, is that the storylines are very dramatic. Like they
very soap opera status.
Yes. Specifically this show, we're talking about Lucha Underground. The promos are like telenovelas.
Yes.
They're very dramatic. It's great. It's great. And so the characters are really they're not even necessarily fleshed out, but they're dedicated to these characters. The kayfabe is so intense that some of the dudes, especially the masked wrestlers, they do not remove their masks in public life at all. So some of these people, you don't know their real names. It's awesome.
So, do they get sweaty in there?
Yeah, I mean, they have to. Some of them will be like, I watched it like their documentary where one dude that's a famous luchador was like, I wear my mask 18 hours of a day.
Like in the shower status?
Probably.
Damn.
That's how intense they are about it. So it's great. Plus, as far as the physicality of it goes, there's a lot more high-flying acrobatic moves. A lot of like stuff that almost looks like breakdancing.
Yeah, it's way more acrobatic, kind of more flamboyant. A lot of like interlocking hand touching and fingers, which this just has like a cool rhythm to it, I thought. It was less of the just like slamming giant bodies into each other over and over again. It's
definitely not so much about big people, like big muscly people, as much as it is about like high-flying moves. Short people can really get into it. But it's really great. You should watch more of it if you can. This show, good example of it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I also like that that everyone got progressively dirtier as the matches went on because they were underground, so like the whole thing was just covered in dirt that got smeared all over them. That was awesome.
The show we watched, Lucha Underground, so there is a background to it. First of all, Robert Rodriguez is an executive producer. That's important to mention. And the show is like it's not set in Mexico. It's set in like, I think it's Boyle Heights, California. Is where the
suburban California.
Yeah, it's where the temple is. So it's where this arena is. That's called Lucha Underground. So it's kind of similar to Raw and SmackDown in that it's a live event that people can come watch the wrestling show, and then it's a show, and there are promos in between and characters and stuff. The only difference is Lucha Underground is regularly at the same place, which is basically stylized like an Aztec temple.
Yeah, they might have actually filmed Legends of the Hidden Temple there too, the Nickelodeon show.
There is a lot of talk about Aztec warriors and stuff in the storyline. The guy that runs the whole thing is a character played by an actor. His name is Diego Cuerto or something like that. Dario Cuerto, yeah. And he's the Vince McMahon of the show. He's the one that
he has the slick back hair.
Yeah. He's like, I built this temple, and he is always, excited more about the bad guys. By the way, in luchador wrestling, Lucha Libre, the good guys are technicos, and the bad guys are rudos. Technico is just like technical wrestler that follows the rules. and bad guys, rudos, because they're
rude as fuck.
Yeah. So it's like babyface heel. First match, we have Blue Demon Jr. versus Chavo Guerrero Jr.
Well said. I'm just going to call him Chavo.
Yeah, or Chavo, yeah.
The heavyweights, right? They were big guys.
Well, yeah. I mean,
meaty guys.
This is an interesting match to start a show with because we're talking about two legends.
Of the Hidden Temple.
Yeah.
Literally.
They're both... You're not sorry.
Not sorry.
They're both like from dynasties, wrestling dynasties. I mean, Blue Demon Jr., obviously Blue Demon is his father. Blue Demon is like an icon in Mexican culture. He's part of the big three. It's El Santo, Blue Demon, Mil Mascaras, or however you say his name. I don't really know about him, but El Santo, Blue Demon. My dad talked about these people like they were Superman and Batman. I mean, they were like such a big deal.
Were you sort of named after El Santo? That would be awesome.
I mean, sort of. Blue Demon, huge icon in Mexican culture. He was a luchador who wore a mask, and he wore it like every day, all the time. Yeah. But people didn't know his actual real name and stuff. But he was in movies and everything. He was just a huge deal. So this is his son, who's apparently in his 50s.
Yeah, he looks good.
He looks great.
Very agile.
Looks
Actually,
great.
It was really cool. They did at one point there was a baseball slide kick to the face. There was a hand stomping or foot stomping the fingers move. It was kind of like old timey. Really.
I mean, Blue Demon Jr. Follows his dad kind of in the traditional look. He has the mask. He has the plain colored tights. He's got a cape. Traditional look. He's wrestling Chavo Guerrero. Guerrero, big, huge Mexican family, dynasty in wrestling. You know, you probably know, if you watch any wrestling, Eddie Guerrero is a really famous wrestler in WWE. That's his uncle. There's a bunch. Gories, like the patriarch. There's Chavo, his dad, who was a famous wrestler. Mundo, his uncle, is the one who trained the women from Glow. That's cool.
Connections.
That's connection. And if you want to connect it to now, his cousin, Shal, but she goes by Raquel Diaz or something like that. She's married to Aiden English, who's the opera singer guy that is in a tag team with Rusev.
You're like a beautiful mind with wrestling stuff.
Thanks.
I feel transformed. But anyway,
that's a good match.
Blue Demon Jr. won.
Of course, thank God.
Yeah. He stomped Chavo into submission.
Yeah, it was great.
Really awesome match.
It was a really good start.
Yeah.
Next match, we have Son of Havoc. Son of Havoc.
There had to be like a lone wolf guy.
Yeah.
Too.
Son of Havoc versus Sexy Star.
A lady wrestler. Yay.
Yeah. It's a mixed match one, which because every other like wrestling promotion outside of WWE lets men and women wrestle each other.
Yeah. They were like, she wrestles men, women, big, small. So very poly. I loved it.
Yeah, it was cool. Son of Havoc just looked like one of those like executioners from medieval time.
He's just gonna like drop the fucking hatchet. What's that thing called? He's like, I'm not wrestling no woman. And she's like, I'm here to wrestle for every woman that's ever needed a hero so they never can be afraid again. And I'm like in tears.
Oh yeah, her promo before it was pumped. It's inspirational. And his backstory is like they say that he resides from the open road. That's what they said.
Cool.
Hailing from the open road.
He lives in a van. Okay.
Sexy Star, though, is an important thing to note. Recently came under fire in the wrestling community really hard because she participated in a match in Mexico that was an all-women's match. It was like a 4-way or something. And her and another wrestler, who I think his name was Lady Shani or something like that, they were like wrestling but actually kind of secretly trying to hurt each other, like having an actual fight in the ring. And then when Sexy Star was wrestling another girl named Rosemary, totally not involved, I guess she was just still pissed about this other thing, she won her by like she beat her by submission or something, but then she held her arm bar like way past, like in an arm bar way past than she was supposed to, and she almost broke her arm. And everybody was really pissed. She got banned from a bunch of wrestling stuff after that.
Oh. She lost the match, which I'm really pissed about and triggered because he like So Son of Havoc threw her face down into the mat, and I was like, "Fuck you, piece of shit."
Plus, he cheated. He pulled her tights when he was tagging her, and so not tagging her when he had her pinned, which is a cheat move because it makes it easier for you to have someone pinned. So
I was outraged. I almost just turned it off right there, but I pushed through for you and for our loyal fans
and for feminism. Yeah. The final match of this show or this episode or the main event, there's only 3 matches. That was interesting. But the main event is Johnny Mundo versus Prince Puma, which is pretty cool.
Pretty awesome. So Johnny Mundo is a master of parkour.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Very respectable. And then
Prince Puma
was his debut match, right?
Yeah, Prince Puma is just cool. He's Puma,
just awesome.
Yeah, is a really cool wrestler who also wrestles for All Japan under Ricochet. It was very good. But Prince Puma, this is him in mask.
Yeah, and he has what it takes. So.
Yeah.
But could he beat the master of parkour, Johnny Mundo, who, based in LA, literally wearing Ed Hardy pants with built-in UGG boot fur?
Nothing said parkour about this dude. This dude read to me as like Shawn Michaels, like Val Venis.
Or like guy. Kid Rock or so, with the cape. Yeah. But they definitely went all in, and it was some pretty badass moves from both of them.
Yeah, this was a really good match. It lasted the longest, which makes sense because it's the main event, but it was long.
And at one point the crowd started chanting, "This is awesome." Yeah. And I was like, wow, nice nod to the WWE on that.
Prince Puma did a lot of classic and updated sick ass fucking luchador moves. One of which he was outside the ring, did like a backflip thing where he just landed on one bent knee, like a fucking cat, so cool. And he was just like, "What's up?"
Yeah, and he was doing kick flips to the face.
A lot of those spin kicks around, just swinging around a person's neck, basically, and then knocking them over. It was so cool.
Yeah.
It was a really fun match. But with all those moves aside, he still lost.
Yeah, Johnny Mundo prevailed. Then there was a whole huge thing at the end where he didn't end up getting the $100,000 in the suitcase because these dudes in cargo pants came out of nowhere and started just beating the crap out of them.
Oh yeah, there was the match was presented as if Johnny Mundo, he's supposed to be the Technico or the face, he's the good guy. And then Prince Puma was hired by some shady promoter or whatever named Conan. that there's a long telenovela style thing about it, but that Dario hired or whatever. But he's supposed to come in and beat Johnny Mundo, who's his hero, who he doesn't like because he's a hero, But then Prince Puma at the end, decided clearly that he respected Johnny Mundo.
Yeah.
And they had shook hands and hugged. And then all these cholos came out. And I'm saying cholos not in a way that I'm assuming. They literally said, the announcers called them street thugs. They came out and beat up the 2 dudes. And
Dario was like,
Dario was like, "These guys also work for me." And that was kind of how it ended.
That was the end, so.
Yeah, so to be continued.
Cliffhanger.
Now we have Val's famous new segment, famously titled Val Investigates, in which Val's going to talk to us about the Prince of Parkour, Johnny Mundo.
Yeah, so Johnny Mundo, again, a critically acclaimed master of parkour. He's been in a lot of various wrestling leagues, and he changes his name. He changes just his last name each time. So he's been like Johnny Blaze, Johnny Depp, Johnny blah blah blah. And now
these are all rip-offs.
Yeah, all rip-offs. He was in a parkour action film called Boone, so we'll definitely have to catch that.
Yeah,
parkour with a plot. Who knew? And he's also both inspiring and aspiring improv comic, which I think is fitting, because if you think about it, improv is kind of the parkour of comedy. It is you have to get from point A to point B in a very...
and make a big fucking fuss about it, make sure everyone cares that you can't drive.
Perhaps a bit dorky, but ultimately entertaining.
Sure.
So I eagerly await his improv career.
I feel like improv and parkour are the same way that someone starts doing it and you go, what are you doing?
I can't wait for him to do improv comedy while parkouring. Like, I will definitely watch I'll definitely watch an action film of that. So he's, in conclusion, a crossover star.
Jumping from building to building, and you're like, why don't you just take the stairs?
And now we're going to hear from El Sanchez on their Conspiracy Theory Corner segment.
Well, it's just Conspiracy Corner, so it's alliterated.
Okay, well, that was just a little improv parkour off the cuff, so sue me. I was inspired by Johnny Mundo. But back to conspiracy theories.
So for Conspiracy Corner, this time we're talking about, yes, demons again. Not vampires, but demons. Demons. We're talking about Blue Demon Jr., who the kayfabe for Blue Demon Jr. is so deep that even if you look up his Wikipedia, nobody knows his real name, although he is allegedly 51 years old, which that's, I don't know, and he's supposed to be from Mexico City, Mexico.
Maybe he is a vampire.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's so, and his dad, like we said, legendary luchador, Blue Demon, but when you see the wrestler, I've seen him in documentaries. Is it the same dude every time? This is the joy. This is the perfect thing with luchadors that are enmascarados, is anyone can be in that mask. You can hire anyone. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's perfect, you know? So do I think that Blue Demon Jr. is 51 years old? No. And is it because it's actually just different people playing him through the years? No. I think he's an actual demon. And I think that he has been played by the same person this whole time who has never gotten old. Listen, I'm Mexican, and one of the things about being Mexican, let's be real, is, it's opposite of other people of color where we look like really young until we're like 20 and then we look 48 the rest of our lives. You know what I mean? Okay. This guy's like 51, but he looks like 32, which is suspect as fuck if he's like fucking supposed to be mestizo and everything. I don't believe it for a day. And you can tell me I'm wrong, and I probably am. That is a generalization, but I can say...
Well, yeah. I mean, we've already determined that vampires are real based on vampire couple, so why not demons?
But Mexican does crack at a very young age. It's just a thing.
That doesn't rhyme, but it is...
It probably does in Spanish, but the point is Blue Demon Jr., who is he? Real demon. Thank you for watching Wrestle-Gay-nia for Jet Space Magazine.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
I've been El Sanchez.
And I've been Val Nigro. And don't forget, demons and parkour are real.